right, so I am very excited that you're here today because this is going to be a little bit different kind of presentation. You have found yourself in an interactive application, right? All of you in the audience have visited my site. So like I am the site. We're gonna do this little like interactive thing, okay? And the way that this works is I'll, the way that you input things is that I'll tell you what to say and you'll say it, and then the way that you'll click a button is we'll like clap overhead. Okay, that'll be like kind of our submit. All right, so this is very exciting. As you may have noticed, I don't have HTTPS, nor do I have a privacy policy, so take that for what it's worth. Yeah, so I'm CJ Avila, I work at App Academy, and I would love it if you would all stand up, please. Yes. Okay, so, all right, we're all now going to authenticate, right? Because I only want to show you things if you have fully authenticated. So please repeat after me. I say your email. Okay, my password is, say your password. Troll face. Okay, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Welcome, insert email address. You have now been fully authenticated. Please take a seat. Okay, so what I'd like you to imagine is that this application is something that needs to know who's online. All right, so maybe it's a collaborative document editor, maybe it's like a game lobby, and more appropriate for a meetup is maybe it's a chat room because we're all here to meet up, right? So the idea is that we're going to implement this feature which shows who's online, okay? And we're going to look at some code, and very quickly over the next 16 minutes we'll look at 4 different approaches to showing who's online. Okay? So, as you know, if you take a link to some very popular site and you post it on Hacker News, right, the link very quickly spreads throughout people. So we're going to do like this little like wave type thing. I'm going to start over here, and as my hand passes you, just with your hands, you don't need to stand up. We're going to do like a little wave. Okay, ready? Okay, all right, okay, all right, stop. No, don't do it. Okay, all right, put your hands down. All right, great. So all of you on this side of the room are early adopters. Everyone else must be users of older sites, maybe AOL or something. So the early adopters have visited the site. The very first thing that we're going to check out is implementing who's online using the last seen. So maybe if you think about this for a little bit, you'll realize that like one option to showing who's online is using the last login time of some user, right? So yes, brace yourselves, traffic is coming. So we have this wave of traffic coming in, right? And one way that we might do this is by touching the current user for every single controller action, right? And then like given some delay, if they have visited the site within the last X seconds, we'll consider them someone who's online. Okay. So here are the considerations. Let's look at some code. Okay, bringing it up. All right, so for the rest of the presentation, we'll consider our user model to look something like this. Nice little gravatar, because who doesn't want a gravatar with their user account, right? Very simple current user method. We're just going to like look you up by your email that you told me. And for last seen, this is how we might implement a list of current users who have been logged in since some like updated app, right? Like every controller action, we're going to touch the user, it's going to update the user, and if they've been logged in the last 180 seconds, we're going to consider them logged in. This is how we might implement some like touch current user. Touching, not sure if that was like the best name for a method. And here's just like some like little HTML ERB that we're gonna see. So well, problems with this. Who can tell me why this is bad? Right? Like, or actually, like first, who can tell me like how we can make this fast? Like, how can we make this line fast? Database people. Yeah.
Add an index.
Okay, add an index. Yeah, add an index to updated app. Right. So that's great, good answer, but even like beyond that, right, if you think about the updated app, if we're indexing the current user table on the updated app attribute, and every single controller action we're hitting, we're like adding, or we're like constantly updating the updated app for every single controller action, so we're going to be like thrashing this index pretty rough. So if we have lots of users, not going to really work. I think this might be how SoundCloud implemented who's online in the beginning, and then they like stopped showing that and killed the feature. And then the link that told you about that is gone, so unfortunately I can't show you, but Okay, so and also, like, how do you choose an appropriate delay, right? 180 seconds, like, who knows what the right answer is for that? I don't know. All right, second option. Okay, we're gonna like keep a cache of users. So maybe when a user visits the page, they'll send an AJAX request with some user data. We'll take that request, put it in the Rails cache, and then when they leave, we'll just delete them out of the cache. Okay, so let's play a little game. I'm going to act as the cache. You're going to say your favorite gem, and then locked and loaded. And then like that will be our registration, and then you'll say your favorite gem again, and over and out. Okay, that'll be like remove your favorite gem from my brain, from my cache. And at the end, I'll try to figure out like what gems are still online. Because I can't remember names very well, we'll just use gems. Okay, so, all right, let's. Okay. All right, ready, go. Okay. Faker. Oh, Faker. All right. Faker. RSpec.
VCR.
RSpec Rails. VCR.
A-page object.
Binding of color. Huh?
A-page object.
A-page object.
PG.
PG. Good. Okay, everyone is in. Now we have to like take some out. So we've done lots of like cache puts.
RSpec Rails out.
RSpec Rails out. Okay, I don't remember any of the other ones, right? So like maybe it was buffer overflow, whatever. The point is that like managing this cache is really tough, right? But also there's a couple other issues with this. So, right. Let's look at a little bit of code. Okay. Okay. So this bit of code is a bit more. We have some online users controller, right? We're gonna this is gonna be the controller that handles the registrations. We're sending some post requests with user data, and we have like every time we hit this page, we have a before action, which is gonna like read all the current users. We're gonna at the end of the controller action update who are the current users. Some very simple HTML and a little bit of JavaScript here. Okay, so. As you see, like when the document's ready, we're going to post to this online users resource. Okay, and we're going to add the user to the list. And then at the end, when we're going to close the browser, like this is the plan. The plan is when we close the browser, when we leave the page, we're going to send some delete requests. But it turns out that like this is not guaranteed to work. This before on unload thing is not guaranteed to work. In fact, it doesn't work every time. Also, async false. That seems pretty gross, right? Like having to put like an async false and an AJAX call on page leave feels very dirty, right? Very dirty. Don't want to do that. So yeah, it doesn't work every time. Feels dirty. Probably not the right answer. Does anybody know why we need to put async false here when we're like watching the page leave? That's right. Yeah. So it turns out that if you don't have async false, then before the XHR request can be sent, we're going to enter another event loop, and on the next event loop, the page is going to close. So like before the send actually happens, the page is going to close. So kind of a pain, and not very reliable. So not a good idea. Okay, come back here. Cool. All right. So the problems are that it's like really hard to manage this cache, and it's also hard to like handle the unload problem. Okay. Very good. So yes, now it's time to talk about web sockets. Right? So when I explained to my wife that I was going to be giving like a little presentation about who's online, she's like, okay, that's interesting. Nod their head and smiles. She's like totally not into tech. And at some point she heard WebSockets, right? And I was like, okay, well, it would be, I'm like really, really interested in like, having some props or like doing like some audience interaction. I think it'd be like really fun. And so she went to the store and she brought me back socks that look like they're from the web. So they're like web socks, right? Nerd. And then these have like headphones on them. Web socks. So we are going to use these web socks tonight. Okay? They're perfect props. Okay? So web socks. Talk about web sockets. So this is like definitely another huge portion of solving the who's on online problem. Okay? One option is to use some third-party service. Okay, so Pusher, great option, probably one of the first things that came to mind, maybe if you've dealt with this before. How many people have used Pusher? Pusher, a couple, okay, good. So Pusher is a third-party service. You sign up, you get some API key, you add some JavaScript to your page, and then you can publish and subscribe to events that happen over channels, and they charge you if you have like beyond a certain number of connections. So I think beyond 20 connections, they'll start charging you some fee to add more connections. But you can have some sort of real-time communication, right? Like using Pusher, drop in a gem, drop in some JavaScript, and you're good to go. So that's one option. Alternatively, you can you can extract a node service and write a little bit of code with socket.io. Okay, so a little demo how this works. Okay, here's our WebSockets here. Okay, so the idea is that the way that you know who's online is who has an open connection, an open socket, right? So if I take one of these socks, this will be one end of the connection. All right, so coming out there, nerd sock. All right, I'm not gonna throw it in the food. So it's like, okay, so Valina and I have a connection with this nerd socket, this nerd web socket, right? And I have this other socket here. So now you're gonna be online. Oh, yeah. So, you guys are, you can be online together. That's fine. Okay, so now we have like two open connections, right? Very clear that we are connected. Okay, very clear that we're connected. As soon as the page closes, they're gonna drop the sock on the floor, or they're gonna send it back to me, right? The socket is gonna close as soon as the page closes. Now, another interesting problem with registering users into a cache is that we don't know if the page is going to reload, like they're refreshing the same page, or if they're leaving completely, right? So you kind of have to like, maybe you take the users who are in the cache and you put them in some queue, and like after some delay, you like remove them from the queue. It's a huge pain, right? So with WebSockets, the nice thing is that if someone's on the page, you have a socket, you have a connection, right? So you know like who's on the page. Okay? So yeah, you can, here, you have socks. Yay, prizes. Yay. Okay, so let's look at some code. Okay, so let's see, web socket. Okay, all right. So I want to emphasize how simple it is to set up socket.io. Okay, this was very surprising to me. Okay, so oh boy. All right, we've got, here's option 4. Here's a little bit of HTML that we're going to use for option 4. Socket.io, you just call the socket initializer, passing it the resource of your node server that's running. Okay, so you can spin up a node server, put it on Heroku, and now this argument will be the address of Heroku. Okay, we have two main events. One of them we are emitting, one of them we are registering and listening to. Okay, what's cool about this, or like this, so also I should say that this is a very naive implementation. Every time a user comes on or leaves, I'm just like full-scale like updating all the users who are online. Okay, we could be a little bit more clever, but this is very simple implementation. Okay. This 32 lines is all of the server code. This is like the entire thing, all that you need for getting set up with who's online. Okay, so we're using node static, Lodash, and static server to give some socket.io files, right? Okay, we're also using socket.io. We have these little login, logout helper functions. We're keeping this hash of users based on their socket ID on the back end, and then we're simply listening for a connection event and a register event and a disconnect event, and then every time we have anyone register or disconnect, we full sale update everybody. Okay, so pretty simple, surprisingly simple, I thought. So that is socket.io. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes. So that's it. Those are our options. All right, so existing solutions that I looked at, or that we talked about, last seen cache using the pusher presence channel, writing your own like IO.js or Node.js socket.io service. I also, during my research, I saw that PubNub, one of our sponsors, I think, right? PubNub.
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah, they have a presence, part of their package is like something about presence. Also, Firebase has some built-in presence stuff too, so a couple other third-party services, if you'd be interested in checking those out. Okay, so that is it. And as good users, we want to like make sure that we sign out, so if everyone will stand up again. All right. Okay, great. Thank you again so much for coming. I really appreciate it if you would like, go say hi to someone you don't recognize. All right, so let's sign out. 1, 2, 3, sign out. All right. Questions, yeah, I guess questions. So the question was, when you have all these sockets open, where do you store them and how do you handle that? So none of the communication on the server is talking to Rails. Like it's just the clients are talking to this service.
I know that, but
yeah.
how do you use that? that some actionable way? You know what I mean?
So there is no like actionable, I mean, so in Node you could make requests to some Postgres database if you wanted to, you know, like log when people were on or when they were not, but at the most basic level, you just keep a JavaScript object that's full of socket IDs and then like
You
user
describe
data.
the mechanism for doing it and not what you do on the back end.
No, that is the whole backend. Like the entire backend is that 30 lines of
Right, I
JavaScript.
understand.
Yeah.
But you need to find, you know, show how many users are online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
so,
look at it later, yeah.
yeah, so this is like, this is it running live. So you can see, this is option 1, option 2, option 3, the presence channel apparently isn't working very well, and then the node service just kind of like shows who's online. You can like, you know, log in as different users and play with it. The code for both the Rails app and the node service are all up online.
So the Rails app is serving the page.
Exactly, yeah. Yes.
Is there any data exchange just to maintain connection? Or is it only just like open and connection drop?
Yeah, so Socket.io, I know they have, they handle all of the connection details for you. Okay, so if, like for example, the browser doesn't handle or doesn't have like a WebSocket implementation, they'll fall back to long polling. So they handle all that implementations under the hood. Yeah.
The TCP sockets, right?
Yeah. Well, it's using the WebSocket API like in the browser. Yes.
So what happens with the socket connection if the user refreshes the page?
What happens to the socket connection if the user refreshes the page? Good question. So we're still gonna like have an unregistered, we're gonna have a disconnect and then a reconnect.
But there will be a notification sent, right?
Yeah, so it'll show the user flash, but what's nice about this implementation, rather than the the caching implementation, is you don't have to manage the connection, like if they're in the cache or they're not in the cache. Like the presence of the socket, like the socket being connected, is enough to know that the user is online.
But there could be delay allowed, like let's say 1 minute delay. If the connection was slow, one minute later, if there was no connection of the same user, then we would consider that user to be offline.
Yeah, so as long as the page is open, the socket will stay open.
Yeah, but there's one false positive, right? If I refresh the page, I'll go offline, go online, and there'll be notifications and I went offline. If we want to avoid this interruption, we could just delay this decision by some timeout, let's say 15 seconds.
Yeah. So the same sort of solution that you can have for the caching problem in Rails. So if you have like some queue of users who have disconnected, and then like with a timeout go through and remove the users who are in the queue from the like online cache.
You can use TTL with some college-based service.
What is it called?
TTL, like time to leave.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you can use TTLs. Yes.
This might be a really basic question, but you said that one of the downsides of the caching approach is that you have to keep track of when each user comes in and comes out. Don't you have to keep track of each socket connection as well?
You do, but so you have to keep track of it in so much as storing like a JavaScript hash with the socket IDs, and Socket.io will handle the connection information. So if someone disconnects, they know to like remove the socket.
So it's kind of like the extraction that's there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good questions. Any further questions? All right.
Are you using this somewhere in production?
Yes. So I have this. One of my New Year's resolutions was to type faster. I'm a terrible typer. It's awful typer. So I want to type faster. So I built a game called WPM Challenge. Go check it out. It's kind of like Type Racer, so you can like type race against your friends. So it shows like there's like a little game lobby where you can invite people and then see who's online, so you can race against them. But that's like where this problem. I realize it's kind of like a fun, interesting little problem. Yep. Cool. All right. Have a good night.
Awesome, thanks. Let's give a big round of applause to our speakers. And at that is for hosting us. Thank you very much, appreciate it. Yeah, so our next meetup is next month at Teespring. We got some good speakers lined up, so really excited for that. Thank you all for coming out. Do you guys need help stacking chairs or anything? Going once, going twice? No. Well, I'll leave you with this one joke before we head out. I want to start a tradition where we tell like programming jokes before or after each meeting or meetup. So a SQL query walks into a bar, goes up to two tables and goes, "Hey, can I join you?" Yes. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good rest of your night.